God gives you only what you can bear, and nothing more than that. But during our hard times, that's something we really don't understand. Me standing here today is one of the miracles our dear Lord has done. I was diagnosed with leukemia, blood cancer in the last stages, when I was close to 5 years old. The doctors told my parents that 92% of my blood showed cancer cells. They told my parents that once I started chemo, I would survive anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months. My parents decided not to put me through the painful process of chemo. But then, one of the doctors in Vellore, a close friend, told my mother that if out of 100% there was only 1% chances of survival, why can't he be that 1%? That was the first step of faith. God used that auntie to touch my mother, and she had changed forever from then. God blessed her with courage, strength, and a positive attitude. I started treatment in Narayana Hridaya, and all I needed was my mother to be there with me. I would go through any procedure, even without an anesthesia, if she was around. The treatment was going on well. I was blessed with a high tolerance to bear pain and a good medical team. The grace of God was upon us. 6 months of treatment, and my father passed away. And the loss of someone dear made me realize the value of life. And I lived every moment with a smile and gratefulness. I was much better, though still under oral chemo. I started school and a year went by. I was much better, though still under oral chemo. I started school and a year went by, and I had a relapse. My relapse was so bad that my cancer cells were much stronger. At that point, I felt God did not like me anymore. I told my mother that I did not want to go through any treatment and would rather die. On one side, my mother had the doctors telling her that I would not live. I have seen my mother just sit and cry during those tough times. She was actually having a silent conversation with God. And she tells me most of the time that she just surrendered me to God and prayed for strength and God's will to happen in our lives. She gathered all her strength and told me that I can either choose to give up, lose, and let the sickness grow, or choose to fight the sickness like I once did. I was crying and she tells me that I have decided, you have to decide, and she left me alone to make up my mind. I prayed, and all I could ask my mother was if she could live without me. She said she didn't want to think of it, but she said it would be very difficult. She said that I was her best friend and didn't want to lose that friend. We did not talk the rest of the night. Early next morning, I told her if she would be by me at all times. I am ready to fight, though I was very scared. My mother also said that Jesus is on our side, and that's when I realized our Savior has conquered death, and there was no turning back from there. The doctors told my mother that the only way to go forward was to do a bone marrow transplant. For that, they had to get me ready, which means they had to burn all the cells in my body for a new bone marrow to be transplanted. They also needed a donor for transplant. The procedures for that took place. After undergoing the treatment for a few months, my blood still showed a high % of cancer cells. And the doctors again told my mother that I did not have much time. But she never once mentioned it to anybody. Then the doctors said to try a drug from the US, which was really expensive. And my mother said, go ahead. We were so richly blessed, more than we can ever think of it, be it in finances or anything. We just had the joy and peace of Jesus flowing in us through all this. After this round of treatment, I was ready for the transplant and was also blessed with a donor who matched my DNA perfectly. My brother Nihal, God's gift to me, which is actually the meaning of his name, God's gift. So now when I do anything wrong, you know whom to catch, my brother. Rihaan. It's his blood. It's his DNA. The transplant took place on Feb 6, 2016. The procedures were painful and I was on high doses of painkillers. There were so many things that happened during that time which I can't share now due to lack of time, but nothing short of a miracle. During all this, I have been transformed because I have had the true experience of knowing that nothing is impossible for God. His plan is greater than ours, and His grace is sufficient for us. Jesus laid down His life so that we may have life in abundance, and also gave us the free gift of salvation. Surrendering to God and praying work miracles, and for me, it has given me freedom from my sickness. And as the word says, by His stripes we are healed. I would like to thank God first above all for every single moment of my life, my family and friends. I would like to thank God, thank the school and all those who prayed for me, and especially one person here in school, our dear principal, Dr. Jerry George. He would pray for me every day and still continues to do so. The fact that Sir and I stand here today is God's wonderful miracle. God took my disease and turned it around for His glory and used it to touch and be a help to other people. No matter where you may be or what you may be going through, God can turn your situation around to bring blessings to you and many others. I would like to conclude by saying, surrender yourselves to God, walk in obedience and humility, and you will be free from any kind of bondage or addiction. So just enjoy the freedom and the gift of life, and do not misuse it. God bless all of you abundantly. Thank you.